Welcome to Nightchild Reviews, and thank you for your continued support. We've just reached 4,000 subscribers, and I'm incredibly indebted to each and every one of you who has joined me on this journey so far. Today, we'll be looking at the highly anticipated new Prince book entitled The Beautiful Ones. Before we begin, I just want to make clear this review does contain spoilers, so if you want to read the book first, please do so, and come and check us out again at a later time. I've made a point of not revealing every aspect of the book, as I still want you to enjoy it in your own way, whether that be alone, with candles lit, headphones, or in a nice quiet spot somewhere near Graffiti Bridge. But to be clear, to avoid spoilers, please stop watching now. The first key point that utterly permeates and soaks this book is the inescapable feeling that Prince had so much more to give and to create. This book is largely based upon the beginning 50 or so pages that Prince wrote before his tragic transition. Prince, in the way that Prince so often did, interviewed a few people to collaborate with him on a book he hoped would be as unique as he was, and chose a complete unknown, Dan Piepenbring, to help bring this dream to life. One does wonder just how big and in depth this book may have become. The book is divided into 4 sections which deal with Prince's early life up into the commercial heights of the mid-80s. The introduction is part 1, the second is Prince's own words focusing on his parents. The third section is a photo book that Prince started to keep in 1977 when he was just beginning his career and recording the album For You. The fourth is a handwritten synopsis for Purple Rain, the initial thoughts and themes of the entire project. Let us be clear. This is not because in any way that Prince felt that Purple Rain was the apex of his creation, but sadly a result of his untimely passing. Prince had planned to take us on a journey right up into the 2007 Super Bowl, where he performed the greatest halftime performance ever to a worldwide audience of over 100 million. Prince was an artist who never stopped creating, and it would not only be wrong, but hopelessly inadequate of us to limit him to a small period of time, however remarkable. It is also important to note that Dan makes the point that Prince was freer and less polished in those early days before he became the well-oiled, photographer in hand, immaculately dressed, managed icon he would become. Dan Piepenbring therefore faced a difficult task, and the 280 pages are a wondrous blend of unseen photographs, which we would discuss, Prince's own words, Dan's thoughts, and his interactions with Prince, Prince's words from previous interviews, and much more. Prince's words are written as he wrote, idiosyncratically, with his use of 2s and 4s and I symbols, which makes for quite an interesting read. So let us begin with one more very quick observation, and that is simply that this book feels really intimate. There are pictures of Prince looking into a mirror that verge on the voyeuristic. His handwritten notes for the book and other lyrics really bring home the sense of Prince as a fully rounded, warm, sensuous and extraordinarily talented person, but still a person who threw open his soul through his work, and seeing those words written by hand and the pictures in this book just make you realise those kind of cars don't pass you every day. The book begins with an introduction by Dan. He recalls the conversation that he had with Prince just 4 days before Prince passed. Prince reassured him that he was okay and that the press exaggerate matters. He asked Dan about cellular memory and talked of his parents. This is very much one of the themes of this book. Prince clearly felt a mission to work out his life through his parents in order to make sense of his own destination and journey. As you read more and more of his thoughts on his parents, it makes you realise just what a masterpiece of open vulnerability When Doves Cry really is. Prince's parents were utterly key to his life. Their energy, often in conflict, created this strange harmony that imprinted deeply upon Prince. Prince tells Dan we need to find a word for what funk is. The idea for the book was first mooted back in 2014, but as more of a lyric-based book, which then grew into a project including photographs and sketches. It still wasn't a memoir. As Prince stripped down from the Third Eye Girl era into the minimalistic piano and a microphone tour, Prince played alone for hours seeking transcendence through the music. Prince then decided that he wanted to write a memoir and to focus on his mother, whom he felt had never received her fair credit for his success. Prince described the process of songwriting to the potential collaborators on his book as a prophetic act. He could become the person he imagined. His whole life, Dan writes, was an act of imagining, creating and becoming. His life was a piece of art. Prince was also extremely cognizant of the value and importance of mystery, which Prince knew was the key to people's fascination. Prince left the meeting with one simple demand. This book had to be the biggest music book of all time. Dan saw Prince trying to work out the book in musical form throughout the piano and microphone era, as he candidly talked of his father, his mother, those early piano sessions where Prince was not supposed to touch the keys of his father's prized possession. Prince talked to the captivated audience of people he had lost and how he saw them in his dreams so vividly it was indistinguishable from being awake. Prince was reflecting on his mortality, his purpose, and looking for a peace of sorts. One part of Prince's search for a collaborator really spoke volumes about Prince. Dan writes that Prince was in the habit of reading reviews of his shows from non-professionals, especially the rhapsodic write-ups that fans tweeted or posted on their blogs. These were the people he felt deserved the job. As untested as they were, he'd inspired them to write, and they might inspire him too. Prince chose two inexperienced writers, and Dan shares a little of what he submitted to make his case. Prince summoned Dan to Paisley and discussed his desire for harmony and how he felt that the white critical establishment used many words that failed to describe him truly. One he hated was magical, which he saw as the opposite of funk. Funk is about rules. It was something achieved through work. It was clear in this wide-ranging discussion that Prince was bursting with ideas and wanted a book that would stand the test of time, that made serious points, and for the first time in a way, allowed him to form his own narrative. Prince talks of a nameless former employee, I will let you surmise their identity, as stating that it was her God-given duty to preserve his vault. Prince responded, "Now that sounds like someone I should call the police on. How is that not racist?" People were always casting him, and all black artists, in a helpless role, he said, as if he were incapable of managing himself. "I still have to brush my own teeth," he said. It became very clear that Prince's issues with the record industry were still present and central to his entire musical philosophy. The narrowing of the culture, the endless promotion of the same few artists over and over again, the inherent racial divide through music charts and specific racial promotion. Prince is clearly passionate here and asked Dan if they could write a book that solves racism and discusses the treatment of black artists. "I mean, all lives matter. You understand the irony in that," he said. The meeting drew to a close, but as his driver was busy, Prince gave Dan a lift. As Prince talked of how he wished to do business with his book, he was always challenging the status quo. He left Dan with the words, "There's a lot of people who say you got to learn to walk before you learn to run. That's slave talk to me. That's something slaves would say." I have to say that this introduction is a revealing snapshot of not only Prince's thoughts and concerns at the time, but also the way he interacted with people. He kept them on their toes. They never knew quite what was going on, what to expect. Dan eventually received batches of Prince's handwritten writings, of which Dan noted, "How could I read them? Prince's handwriting was beautiful, with a fluidity that suggested it poured out of him almost involuntarily, like his music, but it also verged on illegible." Dan was also worried what publishers would make of Prince's unique use of numbers, letters and symbols. Prince was also mindful that some aspects, such as his aunt's religion, may be polarising. What also becomes clear is that Prince could not stop having ideas for promotion, golden tickets, concerts for the winners, and so much more. It is also clear just how much Prince ventures into philosophy as he considers the downfalls of Randian thought and self-obsessed materialism as opposed to the spirit of community. The deal for the book was finally made, with Random House including the special Prince clause that he could remove the book from sale at any point he felt that it no longer reflected who he was. It is also a huge credit to the superb artist Martin Homent that Prince clearly considered his images for the cover of this book, showing the many faces of Prince throughout his career. I have to say, the passage where Dan and Random House visit Paisley Park after Prince's passing is a difficult read emotionally and deeply humanising. It also makes very clear the diligence and respect Dan took in putting together this project, and that despite claiming he never lived in the past, just how much material Prince kept hold of, seemingly virtually everything. The introduction ends with a beautiful statement by Prince. Try to create. I want to tell people to create. Just start by creating your day. Then create your life. Part 1. The Beautiful Ones. This section reprints in Prince's own handwriting his works for the book, and it is disconcerting to see something so intimate. Prince's writing seems full of energy and the page struggles to contain it, like his ideas are just flowing out of him at such an extraordinary rate. The words are then produced in typewritten form to make it easier for reading. This part truly is the backbone of the book, in that reading Prince's words, as he wrote them, is something that hit me hard. Prince is poetic, funny, moving, articulate and open, yet also mysterious, thought-provoking, joyous, and more honest than I would have imagined. Prince writes, "Many artists fall down the rabbit holes of their own imaginations and never return. There have been many who decry this as self-destruction, but I prefer the term free will. Life is better lived. What path one takes is what sets us apart from the rest. Those considered different are the ones most interesting to us. A vibrant imagination is where the best songs are found. Make-believe characters wearing make-believe clothes, all together, creating memories and calling it life." Prince writes of his sister, mother and father, and the impact Bernadette Anderson had on him, his epilepsy and seizures. I'm skating over this because this is the section above all that I really want you to enjoy, roll around in. It's like listening to a friend tell you about their life. So human, so achingly real, so unguarded and intimate. This is the section that I won't spoil too much for you. Prince's words are interspersed with pictures of his family, which feel almost guilt-inducingly intimate and personal. There are also footnotes by Prince which are fascinating, such as the one where Prince talks about holding back a piece of your heart or facing the consequences. Another footnote name-checks Katy Perry and Ed Sheeran in relation to the narrowing and relentless promotion of just a few acts. Prince describes the urge of puberty, which was permeated by R-rated movies, Woodstock, and the power of artists to change lives. Prince writes, "Calling back to mind the whole experience reminds me to do the best I possibly can every chance I get to be on stage, because somebody out there is seeing you for the first time. Artists have the ability to change lives with a single performance." Prince discusses the seductive ballads in rhythm with the words, "Rhythm came from Africa. We need to stop fronting about that. Rhythm and heartbeats." Prince also makes the statement, "I want this book to be about one overarching thing, and that's freedom. The freedom to create autonomously without anyone telling you what to do or how or why. Our consciousness is programmed. We see things a certain way from a young age. We're programmed to keep doing them that way. Then you have to spend adulthood learning how to overcome it, to read out the programs. Try to create. I want to tell people to create. Just start by creating your day. Then create your life." Prince is funny, and the only wounding moment was when these notes abruptly stop and the section ends. It's like leaving a friend just at the point where the conversation was becoming natural, comfortable and fascinating. So much more was clearly planned, and one can only dream of what Prince would have fully written had circumstances permitted. Prince's mystery is still intact, but we get to spend a candid hour with him. Part 2. For You. This is a young, pre-fame Prince, just at the very beginning, recording his first album, and the one overriding thing that hits you is just how funny Prince is. His humour saturates every page. He is pretty much a riot. It's truly revealing just how comedic and witty he is. Prince annotates various photographs with phrases such as, "The view from the cell where I signed my first record contract," or "My manager Owen. Could this be why I'm broke?" These pictures and sketches are interspersed with quotes from interviews from various publications, giving a flavour of the time. There are also various lyric sheets which capture the lightning bolt in a glass of Prince's creation. Part 3. Controversy. Part 3 takes off where Part 2 stops with some truly beautiful photographs from which covers and promotional shots were selected. It's intriguing seeing the various options that were captured and which were actually finally chosen. There is one shot of Prince shaving in a mirror in his trench coat that is pretty amazing to say the least. There are other pictures from the Dirty Mind controversy era, lyrics to the track Vagina, Little Red Corvette and 1999, and others, and more quotes from the era. One of the most fascinating images is of an early design for the 1999 project, which you could probably spend quite some time analysing and discussing. Part 4. Baby I'm a Star. The final part contains the rough outline, themes and ideas for Purple Rain at the stage when it wasn't yet Purple Rain, and song choices include Moonbeam Levels and Bold Generation. It is utterly intriguing to see how the script ideas evolved over time. Prince originally has his father killed by his mother when the kid is just 6 or 7. Prince's father was described as a God-fearing, clean, quiet man, whilst the mother as an incessant drinker who continuously curses and craves sex and neglects her role as a mother. The father is described as having, quote, one bad habit, that he would beat his wife whilst quoting scripture. Prince's entire existential struggle with his parents is described here. He states, is he his mother, drinking and swearing and coming on to another human like it's the only chance he'll get? Or is he his father, conducting life as though God were watching every breath, chauvinistic, stubborn and quick to explode? This poses a problem for Prince's friends who are also his fellow band members. One minute he's a sweet, quiet little introvert, the next he's either screaming the Book of Revelation to someone or he's drunk in the corner of some bar masturbating. There are some interesting points. Prince has flashbacks of his mother and father, and Prince is playing both of these roles in this script. There are scenes where a house party gets an uninvited guest, a bat. Rather similar to the Under Cherry Moon incident in the restaurant where the bats come out. And a bedroom mix-up, again very Under the Cherry Moon. In this version, the Time win the battle, and Prince essentially has an on-stage breakdown, but he wins the love of vanity, but then tries to attempt suicide, only to realise the whole thing is a dream. Credits roll. There is a truly hilarious first verse of Darling Nikki, which I guarantee will just crack you up. Prince's humour is hilarious, although not in keeping with the feel of this track. The missing lines from Purple Rain were also very interesting, but it's very much seemed the right decision to omit them. There are also various parade era shots, including, strangely, Prince's expired passport, on which he looks as stunning as always. There was also a frame-by-frame design for the Kiss video, and a few quotes and pictures of John L. Nelson. The book then details the photographs, including a transcribing of the love letter from Prince's mother to his father, and some really worthwhile notes relating to the pictures in the book, which certainly add to the understanding of the eras. I started by saying that this book has a certain sadness to it, in that this was just the beginning and that Prince was truly writing for a place he rarely did outside of his songs. It would have been amazing to hear his thoughts on the disbanding of the revolution, the forming of the NPG, his marriages, his tragedies, his religious journey as it progressed, his Super Bowl performance, his remarkable live shows, the loss of his parents, his love of Paisley Park, how he dealt with fame, and well, so much more. Dan Piepenbring has done a truly heroic job with the material he had to work with. He not only connected with Prince, but through his words really managed to reinforce the idea that Prince still remained mysterious and was to a certain extent unknowable fully. Prince operated both musically and in a business manner in a wholly unique way. My final thought is simply that the Book of Prince is still being written, through the exploration of his songs, through his artist empowerment, and through us all. We truly owe it to Prince, who gave us his whole being unreservedly, to ensure that all his projects are appreciated, from Purple Rain to Slaughterhouse, 1999 to The Rainbow Children, his live shows to the NPG audio shows, from For You to Black is the New Black. To Prince, I say thank you. We miss you, and we will ensure your music is heard throughout time. The Beautiful Ones is published by Century, part of Penguin Random House, and is available from all good bookstores and online retailers from the 29th of October 2019. Thank you.